Originally, when we were in the process where we were going to do a complete remodel of our house, we started to look for, contractors and whatnot. And a good friend of mine had used Kent, so she gave us his name. And unfortunately, at the time, he was in Hawaii building a house, which was a very, very long project. So he wasn't able to bid on our project to do the contracting and the construction and the build. It's not even so much about what she said as it is to what I saw in her house. Obviously, I'm a designer, I'm very detail oriented, a perfectionist to a fault. And when I went through her house, and I used to walk through the house with her through various stages of the construction project. And from that point, you could tell everything that Kent was doing was top of the line. She had said he's incredibly trustworthy, and he's honest, and he stays on top of his subs as they're working. He checks everything. If it's not right, he fixes it. And I believe, one of the things that really resonates with me with Kent is I was there at least a year after Sean had moved in. And there were people in Sean's house just doing touch-ups a year afterwards. Coming back, if there was any issue, any problem whatsoever, he would be there to fix it without question or without saying, oh, well, that was this guy or that guy's fault. He just took care of it. Our project was to take 9 months, and we were out for 14 months. So again, you look at the cost factor in that of what that cost you to be out of your home for an additional 5 months, and it's astronomical. The situation with the shingles on my house, we have had them cleaned probably 8 times, and within 6 months, it still comes back. And it started, within the first 3 weeks of them being on the house, and my contractor telling me it's just splatter from the rain and the mud getting up on the house, till, we had to initiate bringing somebody out to have it tested. Like, I look at Sean's, I look at mine. She's been in her house a year longer than I have, and she doesn't have any issues. She's on the same side of the street as I am, so it's not a sun exposure or anything like that. So, I think that there's an issue. The answer is, well, we'll just paint them. Well, that's not what I didn't pay for paint. I could have painted them from the beginning. It's not the look that we're trying to achieve. Everything in my house is in natural form. I don't know, maybe I was a piece of wood in my former lifetime, but I have a thing for vintage wood. We had a very substandard painter that did the interior. We'd been in this house 10 years before we did the build and never had an issue when we painted it 10 years ago. We have a brand new paint job. It should last you for at least another 10 years. And, within 6 months, my paint is turning yellow. Yeah, and it's chipping, and it's just, you trying to wash something off the wall, you're wiping the paint with it. I mean, the wood from the construction is bleeding through the paint, so you can tell they didn't prime it, or the paint was watered down or something of that nature. I met Kent through, like I said, physically through Joe Warland, and who did all of our cabinets in our house, Deborah's drawings. And he said, I think you two should meet. I've always worked in, high-end luxury. I worked for a luxury real estate company who also did build-outs and, build custom homes and whatnot. So, my database was fairly extensive, and Joe just felt the relationship was right. And Kent and I met one day. We actually just met for coffee, and we hit it off immediately. How can you not? He's an amazing person. I was talking to him about the experiences that I had had, and, saying, curse you for being in Hawaii at this time, and we laugh. And he, offered to come over and, see what was going on. Just probably could tell I was in pure agony over my paint turning yellow. So he came over, and it just went from there. And not once has Kent ever said anything bad about my contractor, or the subs that he's used. He just offers that solution. We knew that having the house repainted was going to be a long process, being that we were living in it now, and they had to tape off areas, tape off your furniture. But once we finally pulled the trigger, Kent he started the project has done an incredible job. You know, there's no inconvenience to us whatsoever. I mean, yes, you deal with a few tarps, but I mean, everything that his workers do is left clean. They don't leave stuff sitting around. You know, there's no Coke cans or lunch packets, or, you know, they're very respectful of your home. I can't say that for the contractor subs that built the house in the first place. And I think that again speaks volume for the quality of people that he hires. It makes all the difference in the world. I know that when the painters are here, they are supervised by Kent. He checks on them, he checks their work as he goes, as opposed to just leaving it to the very end and then having to fix a whole nother mistake because it didn't get caught in the beginning. Kent is not just your typical contractor that he sees some plans from an architect and builds strictly from those plans. If he sees something that's not right on the plans, he will fix it. If he sees something that's off center, he will fix it. And every little thing, from the windows lining up to the air vents lining up to everything, was something that Kent did. He shares your vision, you know. I think for Kent, he can see beyond what's on paper. If you tell him something that you would like to have done, he'll find a way to get it done. That's a huge piece, that he knows where to get the best of the best. And if it's not within your budget, there is still something else that exists, and he can, you know, give you that information as well. So I think that those are things that are really, really important. And when you have somebody like myself who is design oriented and detail oriented and wants things that are unique and different than what everybody else has, he is the one that has all that knowledge. And when Kent gives you a price, that's it. There's no add-ons, there's no additions, there's no anything. And for us, when you're dealing with a contractor who's like, that's extra, that's extra, that's extra, you know, that's where people say, how did I go so far over budget? I can attest to say that there's absolutely nobody like Kent in this business. You know, from your big names to your smaller names, there isn't anybody. And, you know, it's not, people think, you know, Kent is on the higher side in terms of pricing, but when you roll it all up, it's not. Kent will probably save you thousands and thousands of dollars in the long run. If you want somebody who is just going to make your life really easy during this process, a process that is very stressful, can destroy marriages, and et cetera, then Kent is the person you need to. I said, just talk to him, just meet him, get to know him, you know, and he'll get you your bids within the right amount of time. But what you're paying for is the quality of his subs and the quality of his time. It's an exciting time to build a new home, and it should be kept that way. It shouldn't be a memory that you have in your head, I will never do this again because it almost killed me. That's not what you experience with Kent.